Let me go get that hat again.
All right.
Well, we could probably. I'm not going to take 18 points on Tyler Hero this recording.
Oh, that's fine. I think 17-5 is like a right number.
I mean, he's 13 his rookie year, 15 is last year on a shortened year.
Save your vocal cords.
No.
All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith, here once again with my buddies through the miracle of computer phone. I miss it when we were all together, but we're using technology. I'm here with Chuck Anderson.
Hey now.
Here with John Burr.
Toodles, gentlemen. That's one way to start the show.
I can edit pauses, John. It's not an issue.
Sorry.
All right, hang on. Well, now it's easier to start over. All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith, here once again through the miracle of computer phone, here with my buddies Chuck Anderson and with John Burr.
Toodles, gentlemen.
I gotta say, guys, I miss when we were not using the miracle computer phone, when we were not using technology, when we were sitting at the same table.
Oh, I do not.
Feeling each other's essence.
Indeed. Veteran presence.
The rhythm of your breathing.
Yeah.
Knowing when to interject.
Got that Patton Oswalt, you're worried about my health breathing going on.
A little bit.
Not great.
My thing with missing Keith's is we would go there every week, but then every time I showed up to podcast, there would be like an aggressive amount of things on the seats that we use every week. And it seemed intentional and aggressive.
No, I'm just very messy. I'm very, very messy. There was nothing.
It appears Keith was moving piles of his own offal and filth to different areas to like create the illusion to his wife that he was in fact cleaning.
John is very, very close. On the main level of the house, because we podcast in the basement, in the baby dungeon, call it. It would often be like, hey, pick this stuff up on the main level. And that means I would take a pile of things and then put it down on the podcast table.
Keith,
and that was me.
Might I recommend?
Yeah.
You may not need this. You may have enough. You may have enough acreage or square footage, as it were. I have a secret storage unit.
Oh.
And that's where my clothes that I'm too fat for, that I don't want to get rid of because I foolishly think I might one day wear again. Right. They've all gone to live. For about $46 a month, you just get a very small storage unit. And you keep all your body's clothing.
You know, I might do that.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I've been thinking about getting.
You do have but Keith does have a boiler room in his house. So
I've basically boxed up a bunch of football. I've boxed up all the DVDs I own. I don't have any more CDs. I actually gave them all away and threw them all away. I've boxed up every book I own, basically. Sort of thinking we might move, but now they're just all stacked up, and probably the storage unit would be the best way. But when we were podcasting, no, it's just I'm very messy. I would just I have a shed behind my house. This is funny. So like when you guys came over, one thing you would do, Chuck, is you would actually leave things here constantly. Just all kinds of weird things here.
Vape pens.
Yeah. So I found
weapons.
I found weapons in the yard. my children would find weapons in the yard. And I found, I think, one of yours in this shed. I was cleaning out this shed. This shed behind my house is filled with things that are not mine. They're things I purchased when I bought the house 10 years ago. The person leaving the home is like, no, I'm not taking any of that stuff. It's just, you can have it. You need a bumper. There's a bumper in there. And so like, all right, there's a lone tire. I don't know what it goes to. It's just a tire. Anyway,
these sound like things like hit and run crime evidence things. Like,
it could be.
It might be harboring
there's
CSI.
There's like the highway patrol chalk writing on the bumper where it's like labeling it or whatever. But anyway, inside the shed, I found a very frightening knife, and I was like, "Is this another one of Chuck's knives?" It was this thing. I had to go on YouTube to figure out how to close it. because it was clearly a foldable knife, but I couldn't get it to fold, and I was worried if I got it a little bit, it would close, like snapshot, like bang, like a bear trap. And so my
first memory is closing a knife on my hand.
Yeah, so I was really I'm like, I feel like I should just push down here, but every time I was doing it, like my finger was under the blade, and I'm like, well, I don't want it to shut. So I went on YouTube, and I actually found a video where it was this. I don't want to say insurrectionist. It was a survivalist. Survivalist is a better term.
Ozark Mountain Daredevil.
It was a survivalist who was
prepper.
He was like, some of you guys on my last video was like, you never explained how to close the knife. And I never occurred to me you wouldn't know how to close. Well, so now here's the video. Here's how you close a knife. And it was, he showed me, I push here, and I got it shut. So now I have a knife.
In my head, this is a butterfly knife.
It's not a butterfly. I know that from the outsiders.
Just to let you know, I had a knife within arm's distance from me.
There it is. Look at that. See?
So
that looks like a normal. This is
a nice little knife.
The one I found, it feels more
are we in like the Rambo Crocodile Dundee?
No, it's like a skeleton frame, and it's all metal, so like you can see through it. It's very lightweight. Maybe it's just for
I kind of want it back.
Breaking down boxes. I don't know if it's yours.
Chuck's gonna trade it for a samurai.
I'm gonna need you to describe it. If you can describe it very closely, I'll return it to its rightful owner.
Okay, it's a Gerber with a skeleton.
There.
Good recall. Anyway, gentlemen, we are now on episode 3 of season 8. We are going to do our Western Conference win totals. We're sitting here on the eve of the NBA season starting on Tuesday, recording this on Monday night. We should do our breakfast so we can get into the meat of the show. Gentlemen, what did we have for breakfast? John, what was your breakfast?
I've decided to make Mondays my donut day, as it were.
Oh.
So I ambled down to McGaw's Donuts and picked up. I'm limiting myself to just one paltry donut after making the foolish young man's mistake of Googling the health content, or what is the word I'm looking for here? Caloric intake,
nutritional value.
Yeah, nutritional value, of which there was none.
Sure.
A very frightening, devastating amount of sugar and sodium, but I'm still going to do, at least for the time being, until I'm on dialysis, my one glazed blueberry cake.
I feel like you have too much life experience to be doing that now, to look up how bad a donut is for you. I feel like at this point, it's like if you have some kind of terrible, I don't know what the proper analogy. I'm thinking because I know I have a wound on my foot. I'm just not going to look at it.
Can I tell you that having the fast food establishment decide to put the calories of what you're about to eat on the menu has just ruined my trips to Hardee's.
I didn't know they did this. Sorry. That is unbelievable.
Yeah. That you now, I mean, and it's almost everywhere where you look and next to it is, a caloric intake of a number 4 with fries. And it just depresses you.
That's like when you buy cigarettes in Europe and they have like pictures of tumors and stuff on it.
Well, I mean, I feel like now in almost every restaurant, it's like, you want a milkshake? It's 1,400 calories. And I'm like, yeah, all right. I'll say the one thing that's really encouraged honestly, I think it's helped. It's sped up my sweet tooth, my addiction to candy. Is I was looking at like the nutritional information on a bag of jelly beans compared to a can of Coke, and a can of Coke is like so much sugar. Where I was like, I could eat bags and bags of 2 boxes of Mike and Ike's on a can of Coke. I'm free and clear as long as I never touch a soft drink.
Coca-Cola is no joke. It was easier to quit Coke than to quit Coke, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. It's just one of the most powerful substances there is on the planet. I'm sure we've all seen the YouTube videos where people like put like a 72-ounce steak in a vat of Coca-Cola and dissolves in mere days. But I used to basically brine myself with the stuff for, I don't know, from age 17 to 24. So that's 7 years of just dosing myself with just the most syrupy, sugary thing. But you know what? I came out alive.
Okay, you're good.
I'm probably delicious to eat now. I've been marinated in it. Like I'll be okay. But I can't. I get sometimes you eat something and then you feel bad afterwards. And you're like, what is in this? what have I done? And that's what happened to me with the donuts. So down to one a week instead of, Baker's dozen.
But. Sorry to hear about that, John. I hope you can still find a way to enjoy it. Chuck, what was your breakfast?
Well, my breakfast today was not worth mentioning, but this weekend I went to Shep's Deli in East Nashville, Tennessee, and I had me a Reuben scramble. So it was scrambled eggs and a Reuben with a biscuit, and it was fire and had all the Reuben accoutrement, the sauerkraut and the Russian dressing. It was all there, and it tasted like heaven.
That sounds amazing.
It was eggs and corned beef, not pastrami, because I think pastrami and corned beef are different, but they are kind of the same, but they are different.
They have a different name, but I could never tell you what the difference was. I don't. But that scramble sounds absolutely incredible. My breakfast less exciting, but I felt pretty hearty for my standards. I made myself an omelet, just a pretty basic little omelet. Threw a little sriracha on there. Also had some yogurt with sliced up strawberries. So I tried to go a little better, not just the Monday morning cereal. Try to treat myself a little nicer.
Makes that a Western omelet, which is just in time for our Western omelet, Western Conference predictions.
Oh, well done.
Very episode.
Western omelet, love it. But before we get there, those were our breakfast. After our breakfast, come our breakfast in bed. Apologies. This is our chance to make right what we might have gotten wrong on a previous episode. It's frequently the first time we talk about the NBA. Gentlemen, is there anything we need to make right? Chuck, why don't you go first?
Well, last week I gloated in the failures of Lakers point guard Russell Westbrook. And I said that he had 7 turnovers in his first 10 minutes as a Laker. I was wrong. It was like 6, maybe. I don't know. It was less, but it was still hilarious.
Wait, was any part of that stat? I mean, that was a very powerful and memorable stat. Was any part of that close to being true?
I mean, he was bad in his first game. That was really the gist of what I was trying to say. There wasn't a lot of
it wasn't literal turnovers. No. It wasn't literal minutes.
Maybe there was some, how memory works. Sometimes you read an Instagram post and it's a deep fake and somebody tells you something. And next thing you know, you're telling people on a podcast that, Lonzo Ball scored 70 points.
That was a great moment in Fast Break Breakfast history.
It was.
I'm sympathetic, Chuck. I have many times very confidently thrown out a statistic only to find out that it was wrong. It was just flat wrong. And it's hard.
You may have done that very recently.
I do it all the time. But I also misremember things. I can apologize on the episode that came out on Thursday, Friday, who knows, with Trey Kirby. I misremembered an entire Lakers era. Or like I was thinking of, he was talking about the 2013 team, like with Steve Nash and Dwight Howard. And it made me think of the 2004 team with like Gary Payton and Shaq and all of them. And I apologize. That's a pretty basic thing over the past 20 years of NBA history to not misremember. I am famous for not watching the playoffs kind of before this podcast started. I'd get bored. I was a regular season man.
Too much Lakers. Still
no excuse. I should have easily remembered that that Lakers team with Pau Gasol, with Metta World Peace, with Kobe, they lost in the first round. They were a preseason title favorite. They only won, I think, 45 games. They did not hit their over or their win total that year. But I'm sorry to everyone, especially in Lakers Nation, for misremembering a specific detail about your little franchise. John, what's something that you feel like you need to get off your chest and
keen-eyed YouTubers, those of you watching along on YouTube might have noticed I'm wearing my Charlotte Hornets cap as gifted to me by the Slack Daddy Sam Wilkinson, a Patreon supporter, but I have to bid this at adieu because unfortunately, Charlotte Hornets fans, I got to apologize to you guys because I'm going all in against you. I've made a bet with another Patreon supporter that the Hornets will not make the playoffs this year. And I'm going all in on this to the point where I'm going to take up the most odious of positions, which is that one that Chuck espoused last year, that LaMelo Ball is bad, actually. And I'm with you now, Chuck. I'm on your team. I'm going against the Hornets this year.
Did you get even odds, John, on this no playoff bet?
I'm paying. It's my 150
versus
his 100. So I gave him odds. I felt like it was fair.
I feel like that's fair. I think you're right. I mean, we did our Eastern Conference win totals last Tuesday, and that's one that kind of popped out to me. And I know many people who have been pounding that Hornets under 38.5. And because I see so many people convinced of it, that now I'm worried for you that,
we'll see. I don't have to get, they might get 38 wins and miss the playoffs, baby.
It's true. They could also,
I'm doing one better.
They could also hit that under and make the playoffs because of the plan. So
I'm searching, in this era of player empowerment, I'm searching for reasons to hate. Like it's harder and harder to find teams that I dislike now because
do you find you need that? Player.
Absolutely.
Do you need that
my
hatred?
Heart? Yes. Okay. I'm fueled by hatred, fueled by loathing, not always self-loathing.
Just to let you guys know, I watched the Heat rally a massive comeback against the Charlotte Hornets last week. The Scrubs scored the last 13 points in a row to win by 1. It was amazing. But in that game, I watched Ish Smith tear us apart. He was nasty.
He's good.
So if you're worried about that bet of yours, it would probably be because they actually have they kept competency.
They have competent backup players. That's a good step for NBA teams.
You choose to worry about Ish Smith in the preseason. I will instead take the memory of the Hornets losing by 60 points to Jason Kidd's.
Please I don't want you to apologize. 68 points. 68 points.
I chalked that up to Jason Kidd squeezing every bit of the lemon out of that team in the preseason. By the All-Star break, they will all be on the Dr. Phil show.
He was gonna make him do like swimming sprints if they didn't win by 50. Yeah, I got you. I got you. All right, yeah, we all apologize. So those were our breakfast in bed apologies. Before we move on to our steak and eggs best thing, before we get to those Western Conference win totals, got to tell you a word from our sponsor. Grizzlies fans, it is time to get those season tickets. There it is. Secure the best seats at the best prices to see Jaren Jackson Jr., the recently extended Jaren Jackson Jr. Is that a weird thing to say? Let's keep going. To see your Grizzlies battle the Lakers, the Warriors, the Heat, boo, the Hornets, boo, and other NBA teams with your 2021-2022 Grizzlies season tickets. They start at just $10 per game. When you become an MVP member, you'll also receive all the benefits that include special events, merchandise discounts, and more. Call 901-888-HOOP or click grizzlies.com to get your tickets today. All right, steak and eggs, best thing. What's the best thing you saw in the last week? John, what's your steak and eggs? Muted.
Sorry, guys. You mentioned extends, the pill that never stops, and I want to continue talking about extensions because I feel like, again, I'm searching for reasons to love and hate all around the NBA, and I feel like the extensions and non-extensions that we saw today gave me a lot of like storyline information that I'm trying to craft about each team, specifically watching the Phoenix Suns not extend postseason hero DeAndre Ayton while giving like $40+ million to Landry Shamet. I think the Mikal Bridges extension is like a beautiful thing and everything you want for an organization. Then to watch them turn around and possibly piss off their, second most important player probably for the future, while giving money to just kind of like a random 3-point shooter. It's hysterical to me and gives me reminds me of what Robert Sarver's capable of. Watching, Grayson Allen get $20 million for a couple of first quarter threes a game is funny to me. And then watching the Grizzlies extend Jaren at to me the perfect time, kind of like buying low almost after a really rough season for him, is everything I want to know about what the organization is doing. So I like these emblematic extensions that allow me to to put my own story on it, and I'm pretty pumped.
You've definitely colored these things with your own narrative. I think
absolutely.
Well, there's some part of it that it's just like, certain amount of like, if you're an okay guy, I guess now you just get $10 million. It's like,
sure,
like you're
if you can shoot threes.
Like Grayson Allen's a dude, and you pay him $10 million. It's like, all right, that's fine. It makes me feel better if you want to paint narratives. It makes me feel better about D'Anthony Melton making 7 with like, and that going down. The Landry Shamet one is the one that it's like, what in the world? Like, why would you rather have Landry Shamet than Langston Galloway? I mean, Langston Galloway can play. You can get him for the minimum. I'm pretty sure he's a better NBA player than Landry Shamet. And it's so weird where Robert Sarver's not willing to go all the way, to take care of DeAndre Ayton.
All these extensions are going to look like deals soon.
Yeah, because we think the cap is spiking in like a couple more years. I still think we're going to say, some of these are still like Landry Shamet. Why? Who was the other one who got 4 years, 64?
Is that Kevin Huerter?
Kevin Huerter. So like, I think that one's fine. Like that one doesn't bug me.
That's a postseason hero who was rewarded.
That's what you pay your white shooting guards. Talking about Luke Kennard. That's just what those guys get.
Did White Dante get extended while
White Dante he got like 10 or something, didn't he? Or am I misremembering this?
I don't know. All these 3-point shooters getting paid while DeAndre Ayton, the talk of the postseason, the bell of the postseason, while not getting paid is beautiful.
There's a legitimate concern. I don't want to argue for Robert Sarver here. But
you will, and you are.
I'm going to right now. There's a legitimate concern for the Suns, about luxury tax, and I'm not saying they shouldn't pay luxury tax. If you're an NBA owner, if you're going to be good, you should be prepared to pay luxury tax.
They made the finals.
But you see teams who worry about it. You see like the Warriors not carrying a 15th player. They're basically waiving, they waived Avery Bradley or Gary Payton, second, just guys who could probably help you in the regular season. But they're like, the luxury tax implications are so big.
I get it.
They're worried about it. But that's what makes, again.
But Landry Shamet.
Yeah. Why would you spend $43 million if it's $14 million a year on this guy when you could get his production, a fourth guard, you could get his production from just a minimum salaried player. That is what's going to kill you. Like you can, look, I don't know.
I just love to see a team that I already dislike that employs Chris Paul, that's owned by Robert Sarver, do something to continue and distill my hatred in something pure. While a team that I love, the aforementioned Grizzlies, are doing things that allow me to continue my fandom, like not like getting rid of Grayson Allen and extending Triple J. So that's a beautiful thing to me. I can't talk about the Grizzlies without mentioning that CMT and AMA award winner Kane Brown is coming to the FedEx Forum on October 23rd with special guests Jordan Davis and Restless Road. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or at the FedEx Forum box office.
I felt a little violated the way you slipped that ad in.
I want to do an ad read. When can I do an ad read?
You didn't give me a break to prepare so I could skip ahead 30 seconds.
I know.
I'm trying to get
Chuck, we'll get you one.
Feel those ad reads,
but I want a good one. I want like when Gucci Mane comes to the FedEx Forum. I want that.
It doesn't get hotter than Kane Brown. Chuck.
We'll
That's your kind of country music.
I'll do my best thing. It's not Jaren Jackson Jr. signing a descending contract. Oh. No, my best thing. The legend of Isaiah Joe.
I think he was played by Burt Reynolds in a Spaghetti Western.
Yeah, gunslinger from Arkansas. Had a ridiculous preseason. This man led the Sixers in scoring in the preseason. He also made 59% of his three-pointers on very good volume. Beyond that, he refused to turn the ball over. 1 turnover in 4 preseason games. He also had 8 assists, 7 steals, and 3 blocks from a diminutive guard. Why are you playing so well? His offensive rating was over 170.
Light work.
Isaiah Joe, you are the answer for the Sixers. I hear Doc Rivers in these press conferences telling us like, oh, Shake Milton's not ready. Tyrese Maxey needs to work on stuff. Well, just play Isaiah Joe. You got the gunslinger right there. I'm all about the legend of Isaiah Joe. What's your best thing, Chuck?
My best thing, we're talking about preseason, right?
Well, sure.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but Tyler Hero been balling, boy. He's been on fire. This preseason, he averaged 22 points. He's led the league in points over the course of the preseason, scoring 120 something. Who cares? My stats don't matter. We went over that already. But
all stats matter, Chuck.
Mine don't. I don't.
Lies, damn lies, statistics, Chuck statistics.
And then my statistics after, yes. But yeah, averaging his per 36, 30 points a game per 36 in the playoffs.
Is Chuck bringing up preseason per 36 and not
look, boys?
Per 36. Steph Curry's averaging 40 per 36 in the preseason.
So this is what I'm saying.
Jordan Poole's at like 35.
You brought and left a knife to a gunfight, Chuck.
That's me being happy. That's me looking forward. And besides all that, he looks comfortable in the mid-range. He's throwing up floaters that are hitting with consistency. I think that's going to play big when he's running the offense, when the old guys are on the bench.
Some guy named Rob Edwards is averaging 56 points per 36 minutes. Take that, Chuck.
This is
He's only played
unfair.
one game and he played 4 minutes. I don't think that's a very accurate representation. Chuck, what are you setting the market for Tyler Herro's scoring this year? You keep bringing up Tyler Herro. I feel like you did this. Did you not do this last week? 2 weeks ago?
Look, I'm excited. This is my team. The Heat are my team. Tyler Herro's our young gun. And I'm excited.
How many points is he going to
average?
Cook.
Let me set an over-under. 17 points a game.
I'm over.
That's right at it. That's right at it. What was he last year?
Do you think he's going to get 17 points a game off the bench?
15,
what was he?
Yes.
He got 15 last year. Why are we right? What did he average last year?
17 and a half points a game.
He averaged. I already took the over on 17. So
he averaged 15.1.
We got to get.
You're sitting here bragging about Tyler Herro.
I think he's going to get starters
minutes. Average more points than like Courtney Lee.
I think he's going to average closer to 18 points a game.
I'll
give you 18.
I'll take 18.
18.
I'll do 18. What do you want
to bet? I will bet. So I will bet you that Tyler Herro does not score 18 points per game.
Okay. I will bet you that he scores 18 points per game or better. And I'm thinking,
what did I say?
If I win, you said less than 18.
I get up to 17.99. I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm guessing if I win, I get my knife back.
Okay. I'll give you your knife back. I want your beard.
You want my beard?
I want your beard.
Look, I'll shave my back. How's that?
I want your beard in a Ziploc bag.
Oh. I'll put my back hair.
That's the serial killer I am. I collect beards and bags.
Chuck will never put his beard on the line.
No,
it's like his.
This is like
all right, we'll figure something out. We got to figure something out.
What about Chuck can't shave his head for 2 months?
Oh, I want Chuck.
I won't shave my head for a season.
Oh,
done.
Do this.
Done.
All right.
Done. And
I was rooting for Chuck, but now I'm rooting for Keith.
It's incredible.
I love the Chuck horseshoe. It's one of the friendliest looks I've ever seen.
That's amazing.
Sides, man. Is there anything better than a man with confident sides?
Yeah.
Just major dad sides.
I'm happy for you, Chuck. I'm happy when Victor Oladipo comes back and knocks Tyler Herro out of the rotation, gets that points per game all the way down to like 12, 11. It's gonna be great.
We'll see. If that happens, I'm happy, baby. That means that's
a good problem. That's a good
solid 8-man rotation for the playoffs.
Those were, I think we did our best things. Let's do the opposite of our steak and eggs, our cream of wheat. Worst thing. Chuck, what's your worst thing?
So we've been following the lovely exploits of J.R. Smith going back to college. He's joined the golf team.
Yeah.
He's tweeting about his studies, how he's committed to his educational pursuits. In his first tournament, J.R. Smith, in a plot twist designed by Adam Sandler, stepped in a beehive and needed medical attention.
Did Carl Weathers run out onto the court with a fake limb? Sam Kinison plays
in the
slapstick
Happy Madison film that is this story. This is the laziest plot turn.
It's like, such a lazy plot turn.
Like, let's have him get stung by bees.
Unless it's my girl and he dies like Macaulay Culkin.
The people who created that film, My Girl, should be put in jail.
What?
I'm not.
Why would you ever
I'm
kill
basically
Macaulay
an abolitionist, but I would put those people in prison.
Yeah.
Like, what was the point of that movie, guys?
Sorry, Chuck.
Sorry, Chuck.
Here's
My
the thing.
girl problems.
We've got yes. Shout out Anna Klumsky. I'm just so sad that his first event turned out into something where he possibly needed an EpiPen. It doesn't seem like something that should happen to one of our favorite post-playing careers for J.R. Smith.
NBA player most likely to carry an EpiPen can't name Alexis Pokusevsky.
Oh, it's Kevin Huerter for sure.
Oh, well done.
Oh man,
golf clap.
The recently extended Kevin Huerter. John, what's your worst thing?
So for me, you mentioned it. It's in a weird way. You kind of already went through this. I don't want to talk about Ben Simmons very much in the podcast. It's a little stale at this point, but we were going to see guys like Isaiah Joe. We were going to see a team truly built for like maximum Joel Embiid. Like we were going to see Joel Embiid. No more standing outside by the 3-point line anymore. We were going to see an offense catered to JoJo instead of Ben Simmons. And I was really looking forward to that form of 76ers team. And it doesn't look like we're going to get it. It looks like they're going to at least try to patch it up. So I was excited about all the Simmons-less storylines in Philadelphia, and that's all gone.
Yeah. I mean, I think
at least for now.
I mean, Embiid last year, is there much more he could do? I mean, I'm just thinking statistically it was so unbelievable.
That version of the Sixers, believe it or not, is catering not to Embiid, but to Ben Simmons. And we were going to see a different kind of like a Super Saiyan final form of Embiid. Couple that with the motivation and the fury of having, what has happened transpire. Like, I think we were going to see something truly special, and we've been robbed of it, and I think that really sucks.
I think what we've been robbed of is Embiid's body breaking down by the All-Star game. If that's
awesome.
Something that
valid,
Chuck might be right. Yeah,
but I wanted to see it.
We'll see if it could happen.
My worst thing in New Orleans, the GM of the Pelicans, David Griffin, he had told the media and he told the fans that, hey, Zion Williamson is, like he's on pace to be back for the regular season. Like, don't worry about his little foot injury. He's on pace to be back on court in time for the regular season. And as it happened, as everyone was predicting, like literally everyone, I don't know if the expert win totals have adjusted for the Pelicans based on this news, but like, I feel like everyone was expecting that, like, there's no way Zion Williamson is going to be available at the beginning of the season. And it turns out, in fact, they did another scan. They're like, yeah, he's going to be reevaluated in several weeks. There's no timetable for return. And so now people are all like, hey, David Griffin, you told us he'd be ready for the start of the regular season. And David Griffin clarified that when he said he was going to get him back on court in time for the regular season, he didn't mean the start. He meant any part of the regular season. He said, listen, I meant he was on pace to get back for the regular season.
Stewie Griffin missed his
which
call.
lasts for, this is like the Chris
between
Voss
game 1 and game
award
82.
Speak.
He'll be back.
Unbelievable work
somewhere
from David Griffin. But
between October
I wish
March.
Instead of betting against the Hornets, I could have found a way to bet against the Pelicans. That would be a lot more fun.
Man. Anyway, those were our worst things. Before we move to the win totals, we have a couple of brief listener submitted questions. The croissant questionnaire.
Rockets guy asks, which team is your least favorite for reasons that have nothing to do with basketball? Keith, what team do you dislike for purely non-basketball reasons?
So this is altered recently.
Okay.
And I don't even know if it's like, I used to not like the Rockets because I didn't like the Rockets players.
That invalid.
But I like the Rockets players now. But I also find myself gleefully happy whenever something bad happens to the franchise because of Tillman Fertitta. So I don't know if is that a proper answer?
I feel like owners, I feel like we should maybe, I'll accept it, but let's eschew
it's
the
so
owners
hard
as
with
well.
the owners thing because you're like, Tom Gore's in Detroit. It's like the most horrible things you've ever read about. Like,
I feel like this is like, I know you don't like when I use the slippery slope analogy, but dear God, man,
Yeah.
NBA ownership
this is go to True Hoop from Henry Abbott. Get all the dark deeds of these owners. Can you guys Chuck? Why don't you go? Like, is there a team that you hate for off court?
I mean, stuff? it is basketball related, and I will never forgive the Oklahoma City Thunder for stealing a franchise from Seattle. Those wonderful colors,
gentlemen. We've got to get away from the players, coaches, NBA related circumstances. Listen to me now. I hate the Orlando Magic because I hate the city of Orlando and I hate Disney World.
I mean,
okay, there's an example.
All right. Okay. All right.
I mean, I hate Oklahoma City because it's
Wayne Coyne.
Why are we just throwing out cities? They're overrated. States? I mean,
no. Oklahoma.
I've grown fond of Disney. I don't like Orlando, the city, though. Makes it a harder question. Like, what are we basing it on if it's not based on like ownership or something?
I know Chuck doesn't like the city of Indianapolis. I know it for a fact.
I once got really, really drunk in San Antonio and threw up close to the Alamo.
If you had peed on it, you would have gone full Ozman coming on that thing.
Yeah, I think maybe that might be why I hate the Spurs, not the fact that they destroyed my spirit in the 2014 finals.
You guys can't do it, can you? You can't do it. You can't get away from the NBA. Anyways,
all right.
Michael asks, what NBA players do you think would make the best professional wrestlers?
Oh, well, John, this is like your wheelhouse. I feel weird to even try to answer.
So we've got your baby faces and your heels. You've got your baby faces, your good guys. Then you've got your heels, your bad guys. And then there's a type of kind of tweener that I think a guy like, and this is a heel who is so kind of like badass or so good at being heelish that he becomes kind of beloved, like say The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think for a lot of people, Draymond Green could be that guy. And then if you want to get into your heels, I don't think anyone has done it better the past few years than Patrick Beverly. Although I do think Trae Young is making a run at being one of the better heels.
I was thinking Trae, could this work as wrestlers? I feel like I go to the guys who I already cheer against.
Okay.
I feel like Devin Booker could be an incredible wrestler. Don't you feel like with maybe the charisma with the face,
there is a pretty boy Shawn Michaels Heartbreak Kid archetype. Yeah. Chuck, who makes a great baby face? Who are the good guys of this?
So here's one of my, and you mentioned it, like my disdain for LaMelo mostly has to do with him being like shot to the top. He had a rocket pack on him, and he was just given like title fights when he
got to earn it in the squared circle.
You got to earn it. You
don't have the same kind of feeling for like the dozens and dozens of like NBA second generation NBA players. Like you're not mad at Steph Curry and Klay Thompson for like shooting to the top. Like why does that?
I mean, Steph Curry's, I was rooting for him only because I thought his ankles may never work his first like 3 seasons in the NBA. And then it ended up he was an MVP. He was an incredible player. That was a different story. He didn't just walk into the league and then everybody was putting every play he made on SportsCenter.
Right.
There was a different situation.
You're saying he was given it too early just because of the highlight plays.
The keys to the kingdom.
I still like a year later, I haven't been able to crack the disdain of the LaMelo. Like what it's amorphous. It's this cloud. It keeps moving around.
I just explained it. He just was given. He was just crowned.
Highlight.
So what?
You're just let me throw you are Nate Duncan mad at Anthony Edwards dunking.
I guess
that's what you are right now.
Nate. But Nate that's a good baby face. Anthony Edwards, perfect. Anthony Edwards great in front of a mic, wonderfully explosive, jumps. It's very above the rim, much like
for some reason I see
Mysterio.
I see Julius Randle with one of those one shoulder strap wrestling outfits.
Andre the Giant style.
Yeah. Andre the Giant style. Yeah.
After he hits like a particularly contested mid-range jumper, he drops the strap.
Yeah.
That's when you know that the game has changed.
I think we're missing out on what would be the greatest crossover basketball wrestling personality of all time, and that's Boban. If he just showed up and started choke slamming folks, that would be the end.
Just from on high. I do think you have the archetype. They don't do this as much as they used to, but used to have your Pedro Morales, your Bruno Sammartino, the ethnic babyface.
Right.
I think Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Are we allowed to say that?
You could maybe not. You could have Giannis Antetokounmpo reaching out to all those Greek Americans out there, bringing them together. I mean, you got to find your
British Bulldog.
I feel like new Grizzly Steven Adams seems like he'd be a good personality. He's funny, and he seems like in the ring he could do some things.
Well tattooed. That matters.
Look, the Samoans have a long history of dominating the wrestling industry. I'm willing to honorarily Samoaize one Big Steve.
Yeah, I mean he's a Maori or something, right? I mean, does that count? I don't know.
Pacific Islander. Let's just go with Pacific Islander. I feel like we got
Southern Hemisphere. It's close. It's good enough. Anyway, those were our listener submitted questions. The croissant questionnaire. If you want to submit your own question to be answered on air, you have to become a Patreon supporter. If we don't get to it on the episode, we do a bonus Zoom hangout video where we get to all the rest of the questions. I need to welcome our brand new Patreon supporters, Jonathan Johnson, Ryan Kirkpatrick, and Ryan Blankenship. Thanks for signing up. I know both of these Ryans joined up to play fantasy basketball. We just did all our fantasy basketball drafts. We had the iShop negative fantasy draft on Sunday. If you missed out on those, never fear. The next contest is here with the start of the NBA season on Tuesday night. Are we starting on Tuesday night, John?
Yes, Tuesday night.
Starting on Tuesday night. Opening night is Pick'em, where Monday through Thursday, everyone who wants to participate picks the games against the spread completely free to play for our Patreon supporters. And whoever picks the most correct games against the spread each month wins a t-shirt of your choice. You pick out the t-shirt and we will mail it to you. So if you miss out on one month, you can pick up the next month. You missed out on fantasy basketball, you can sign up right now. You can be at any tier, $1 and up, and we will do the pick'em. The best way to play is to get involved in that Slack chat, the listener Slack chat. Yes,
Pickle. John. It's not just a game; it's also a cucumber.
Wow, it's a good slogan. So if you want to get involved with these monthly games we do, you want to get involved with the community of listeners and hang out in that Slack chat, get access to exclusive bonus content, become a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/Fast Break Breakfast. All right, gentlemen, it is time where we do our Western Omelet Western Conference win totals. We used to call it Bestern Conference and Leastern Conference. Not so much the case anymore. If you listeners don't know, if for some reason you missed season 8, episode 1, we are fantastic at picking the over-unders based on win totals.
If we Voltron. So let me give you the details. One sec.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
So after 7 years of doing this, I am the worst. I am 116.85-3 at picking over-unders. John, you by 1 percentage point, 1/10 of a percentage point are behind Chuck. John, you are 121.80-3. Chuck is 120.79-3. He has 2 fewer picks because back in the day, he mumbled a lot, and we've checked the tapes and we can't figure out what he said. But
God, that is galaxy brain.
Individually, we're okay. Individually, we have about a 60% winning percentage, which is good, which is profitable if you're into that kind of thing. But it's when you combine our knowledge that you really get some impressive percentages. If you look at what 2/3 of us say, it's obviously there's 3 of us. Whoever gets the majority, that is a winner over the 7 years of doing this show. That is a winner 65% of the time. That is absurd.
That's professional, y'all. That's over the vaunted 62%.
74-3. If you just go with the unanimous, if we're in agreement, if we're unanimous on a pick, we're totally in agreement. We are 59-27-2. That is a 68.6% winning percentage over 7 years. Go ahead and round that up to 69%.
Nice.
So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through the Western Conference teams. I'm going to tell you how many wins I think they're going to win. And then John will say what the experts think. And then we're going to pick a number either above or below. How are we doing this? We're doing this by division again, John?
Yes, sir. We're going to begin with the much vaunted Northwest Division, one of the funner divisions in sport. And we're going to go in order of how they finished last year. So that begins with the Utah Jazz.
Oh,
Keith, what is your number?
My Utah Jazz, they are my 1 seed in the Western Conference this season, just like they were last year. I'm guessing this is an easy over. I have the Jazz at 55 wins.
You are indeed over. I'm also, as we go along, going to tell you just how basic Keith is and tell you what the public has also taken. 61.7% of the public have taken the over, which is sitting at 52.5 wins.
So they have the Jazz at 52.5 wins.
Tied for most in the West.
I love that over.
I mean, I have to agree with you here. I really like teams that have built-in advantages via, just being a mile higher than anyone else. The altitudinal advantage is so huge on these over-unders. I think people have made a small fortune betting the Utah and Denver overs for this very reason. And I'm not going to stop now.
I don't know. I don't even know what the narrative is for the Jazz to have a bad regular season. They're just tired of each other. They just don't like Gobert.
Gobert getting hurt. I think Gobert getting hurt would be.
It has to be huge. Injury. I mean, outside of injury, they're so deep. Yeah, I
don't
know.
Dare you go under?
Their regular season, is pretty much guaranteed to do well. They're built for the 1 or 2 seed in the West. Defense is looking good. They got Rudy Gay now, which
I like Rudy Gay.
I think in spurts.
Not going to help you in the playoffs.
Bad defender.
Yeah, it might be good for him in spurts to help play different lineups. Quinn Snyder will choke in the playoffs, but for the regular season, I'm going over.
I disagree with the Quinn Snyder choking argument. I know some people. I think this team has played to its talent. I think they could have won, but I mean, they didn't get the breaks. They were a little bit banged up last year, but that's neither here nor there. We all think they're a good regular season team. So is that a unanimous over already?
It is.
All right, unanimous Jazz.
And I don't even need to ask you if you're over or under our next team. The Denver Nuggets, Keith. How many wins?
I am optimistic about the Denver Nuggets. I'm not sure actually where I'm going to be. I have them as the 4 seed, but only at 48 wins.
Oh, wow. Very unbasic, Keith. 48.5. You are under, sir.
Oh, I'm a slight under. Ooh.
This is the most pounded over. 69.3% of wagerers have taken the over. This is the most pounded over in the entire NBA, even more than Chicago, more than the Knicks, more than the Bucks, more than the Nets, which round out the top 5.
It wouldn't surprise me if Jokic does enough to just comfortably carry them into 50 wins again.
Between that home court advantage and Jokic's durability, I like this. To me, is one of there's a reason everyone's pounding it. 48.5 stunned me, and I'm even more stunned by your number of 48. Chuck, what do you think?
I'm going under. I'm going under. Yeah.
I mean, they don't have a starting point guard. We know because Jamal Murray's out for a while. We believe in Monte Morris. We're hipsters, so we're fans of PJ Dozier.
I don't know if you do, Keith.
Of Facundo Campazzo.
That's a lot. That means you really believe that Jamal Murray is worth an incredible number of wins.
I also think last year it became a thing that Jokic wanted to play every game and he wanted to win the MVP. And
so you think it's going to be back to?
I think there's going to be less Jokic playing this year.
I find that hard to believe when they have this enormous albatross around their neck of a Jamal Murray injury that Jokic isn't going to come to play.
I'm not saying he's not going to come to play. I'm just saying he played 82 or he played all the games last year, 72 games last year. It wouldn't surprise me if he missed a game or so. I mean, I'm not going to be stunned at all. I thought I was going to be over, and I think some last second adjustments, I docked them a win. And, I feel nervous about being under, but it doesn't bug me that much. So Now that I know the public is 69% the other way, maybe I feel all right.
It.
All right, so you're taking that over, John?
Yes.
All right. Sorry for my Nuggets fans. I mean, you guys know I ride with you. You're my second team.
I love Jokic.
Not anymore.
But my Western Conference is weird.
Put a bird on it, Keith.
A lot of teams in the 40s.
We move on to Portlandia. The Blazers.
So Portlandia, this has to be an under. I'm just telling people, I have 4 teams essentially tied in the Western Conference for the 5 through 8. The Blazers are one of them. I only have them at 45 wins.
Keith, you, sir, are over.
No.
Along with 53% of wagerers, the number is 44.5. Chuck, where did you land?
I'm going under. I'm thinking Lillard's probably not going to want to be there much longer. I'm hearing the rumors, and people are saying that he just wants to do what's best for him. If he looks like he's in the middle of a like middle of the pack playoff team, I don't know if he wants to be there. If he's seeing other options, especially with a team like Brooklyn, if they're possibly destroying, he may want to join another super team to get his chip.
The Lillard situation does make it strange. However, I feel like that's more of a question for next year. And just simply put, if Damian Lillard plays more games than, plays his usual number of games, the Blazers always win more than this. So I think the number is pretty good. And Keith landed pretty similarly to it, but I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, we talked a lot about how last year they really struggled when Nurkic was off the court, and we've praised them so far this year about bringing in Larry Nance Jr. and Cody Zeller to be backup bigs. That feels like a very sturdy backup bigs. If McCollum's healthy this year and Lillard's healthy this year, I feel like they could easily get it. I know I was right on the number, but like this team seems pretty good on paper. But yeah, it's gonna be close though. So that's 2/3 over on the Blazers. John, you've been over on every team in the Northwest so far.
Get ready, because it may just continue as we move to Minnesota. Depends on the number, folks.
Wow. So the Timberwolves they're a team where I always take the under because I like being correct. And I do feel like they're building something. They have this regenerative youngster in Anthony Edwards. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to have this big, huge bounce back year. A lot of good vibes coming from that team, it feels like. And they want to shake off this long drought of being terrible and not making the postseason. I don't think they're making the postseason, but I did give them a couple extra effort wins. And I gave them a middling, still though, 35 wins. And that's with me giving them a couple of bonus wins for good vibes.
Well, Keith, those bonus wins were enough to put you over because the number is 34.5.
I hate being on the number every time.
57% of wagerers are under. Chuck, what are your thoughts on the Timberwolves this year? Does getting rid of the nepotistic stink of their former coach do enough for you to take the over?
I'm a huge Anthony Edwards guy. Apparently he's grown 2 inches, which I don't know. That's a thing.
Oh, he got that extension?
Year. Yes.
He's been taking the extends.
Yeah.
Karl-Anthony Towns is looking yoked on the internet. There's no more tubbiness about him. He hasn't been playing Call of Duty. He has been ripping reps in the gym. He looks like he's ready to take a leap into superstar status this year. If that's the case, and they have competent coaching, I think they could be a 38, 39 win team.
Yeah.
Wowie zowie. That's 2 for 2 on the overs. Let's make it a trifecta. I know that 7 wins, that's a 7-win change, by the way. The over-under from this year and last year is a lot. But when Karl-Anthony Towns played last year, the Minnesota Timberwolves were they had the makings of a 500 team.
They were under 500 when he played last year.
But if you look at their net rating and stuff, they had the makings of a 500 team. And I think, this is a team that has been kind of under the institutional chains and coaching dead weight and just pain. Yeah. Now they're kind of assembling something where they're going to be allowed to play and be allowed. This is a bet on their players. A bet, but you watch different sports and Football, it's a coaches league. Baseball, it's institutional league. NBA is a players league still. And I think the players on the Timberwolves are good enough to be, to make it to like 36 wins.
Yeah. Not a lot.
Wins.
I mean, I still have
34
them.
and a half is really low.
I have them essentially tied with as the 11th, 12th, 13th teams. So I'm not giving them a ton of credit.
I don't see them as a playoff team, but I certainly don't see them as one of the worst teams in the West anymore.
No. Their depth scares me because I don't like a lot of guys on the team.
Right.
It's like, I think D'Angelo Russell's kind of bad.
But D'Angelo
they don't
Russell's
have other guards.
D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley pairings.
Like we're depending on Patrick Beverley to play 70% of the games and need him as a guard. Like there are a lot of questions on there. And so
if D'Angelo Russell and Patrick Beverley if that's your starting guards, I understand your argument, but they're not, that's their backup guards. It's almost, I kind of love it. Like I love what they've put together. Like how these, I don't know. I'm betting on the Timberwolves to be better than that paltry number. Speaking of paltry numbers, let's move to Oklahoma City Thunder. Keith, what is your number?
I'm 18.
You are stoutly under 23 and a half. This is the most heavily bet. It's the fourth most heavily bet under 65% of wagers.
23 and a half.
Yeah. I'm joining you. I think this is a very easy under. I think this is one of the only teams that is very demonstrably tanking. Chuck, what do you think?
I'm going under. They're a mess. Shea's the man, but the rest of the guys are just like, who cares? And
the rest of the guys are bad.
Yes.
I mean, Dort's not Dort. I'd like to see Dort on my Miami.
I mean, everyone likes
the 10th
Dort.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Josh Giddey's going to start every game. A 19-year-old kid's going to start every game.
I mean, they're going to play Poku so many minutes.
Yeah.
But this is a feature, not a bug. They are intentionally going to suck and will suck with veracity.
Look, part of the reason I have so many overs is teams like the Thunder have to win like 15 games.
Yeah. They want to lose.
Yeah. Even when SGA played last year, I think they were like 16 and 19. Like they're still not that good with him.
But they even had better players last year.
Yeah, exactly. That was with Horford. And
they got rid of some guys.
Let's leave this division and move to the Pacific. Keith, we're starting with the team that you love the least, the Los Angeles Lakers.
I struggle with this one. I have the Lakers actually now tied as my 2 seed. I have them at 53 wins.
You are the slightest of overs.
I thought
52 and a half wins. 58.2% took the over. Yeah, basic. Chuck, give me some thoughts on the Lakers. What do you like this number? Are you over or under?
With a team like the Lakers, I'm going to take the under because Vegas cooks in their fandom and the size of that market, wanting to bet for their team. I'm going with the under here.
I feel like that's how I normally feel. And I think 2 years ago, I was all about their under, and they crushed it when they picked up Anthony Davis. And I thought none of the pieces fit just right. And their offense was kind of terrible all year, and they obliterated their win total and they won the title. So and because last year was like a down year, this is my very scientific method. It was up year. It was down year. I'm going back to up year. And that's literally the basis of my analysis. I mean, to take the over.
I'm curious to see how much Carmelo Anthony plays. If he's getting big minutes, that under looks solid. If he's just
538 thinks they're going to be bad because they think Carmelo's playing a lot.
Yeah. If that's the case, I mean, I think LeBron's probably going to be pushing for it. And if that's the case,
what you got, John?
I enjoy betting against 538 statement predictions.
Yeah.
I enjoy betting against Anthony Davis having 2 bad seasons in a row. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Anthony Davis at center will be a terror. I think the Lakers just scorch through this. I think the Lakers and the Nets battle for the most wins in the NBA this year.
Oh, wow. So you're way
Let's take it to Phoenix. Give me a number, Keith.
I have the Suns tied with the Lakers. I think Phoenix is awesome. And I think they're going to win 53 games because they got that Landry Shamet locked down. Landry DNP, coach's decision Shamet, locked up for many years.
You are over. 51 and a half is the number.
Yeah.
Chuck, where do you sit with this one?
I think while I'm not like JaVale McGee like super fan, I think having him eat up some of that the Ayton bench minutes will be good with Sarge being out. I think they looked exposed against the Bucks without Ayton on the floor, so I think that's huge. I don't know if Elfrid Payton makes a huge difference, but he's probably just going to get like scrap minutes too, and the rest of that team made the finals last year. So I think when you've had that confidence and you've played that well throughout a playoffs, you're going to have a little bit extra juice. So I'm going to take the over with them.
Am I allowed to argue against the Suns while still taking the under?
Wait, while still taking the under? Wait.
Excuse me, while still taking the over?
Oh, sure.
Because I think I have them around 52, 53 wins, but the Suns were unbelievably healthy during a year that the rest of the league was unbelievably unhealthy.
Yeah.
But the Suns also didn't really turn it on. They didn't really figure out who they were until later in the season and become this offensive and defensive juggernaut. I still have to take the Suns over.
I still think there's like room to grow for a lot of their players. Yeah. Like Mikal Bridges can be better. Cam Johnson can be better. DeAndre Ayton could go on a tear, and Devin Booker keeps learning and learning. The loss of the finals. They were so close to winning a title.
This team seems nuclear to me. This team seems like the second seed in the West to me. I got to take the over despite listing why.
Is there a lose the finals hangover thing? I mean, Chuck's Heat
I think the reason the number is lower than I expected, even though it's not a low number. This was maybe the best team in the NBA for long stretches last year, but I think the fact that so many teams are like, they got lucky, yada yada yada. Yeah. I think that's kind of baked in here. But let's move on to Oaktown. Golden State Warriors. Keith, give me your number.
I'm lost about the Warriors. I have been very low on them, and I guess I'm getting a little more optimistic. But it can't just be Jordan Poole. If Jordan Poole is actually amazing, then I guess I'll eat my crow and say I was wrong. I have the Warriors at 45 wins in the morass of the teams from 5 to 9. I know actually this is an under based on I've seen this line many times.
It is indeed an under. I concur with at 48.5 wins. As excited as I want to be about Jordan Poole, I can't sit here and tell you all of these overs without someone slipping. I do think this is probably a playoff team, but I think they'll be the last playoff team. So I'm with you on the under. What has changed since last year? Nothing. I think this is the same team as last year.
They have fewer. They have.
Yeah, exactly.
I know Kit Bazemore and Kelly Oubre don't mean that much to the Warriors. They didn't have great years, but like Kelly Oubre, Kit Bazemore like kind of did stuff.
Those are bodies.
He kept bad players, worse players from being on the court. They're depending on this Jordan Poole jump. They're depending on Juan Toscano Anderson jump.
I don't see a leap here, which is what the numbers would indicate.
I think there's some argument. Well, I said Chuck, there's some argument that like Draymond Green is much healthier this season.
Or that he cares.
He had a COVID year last year. People are saying, and that was the reason. And when Steph and Draymond play, that team is good. Those are two of the great players of our time.
Draymond, the Draymond at center lineup is still lethal.
If Clay only misses 20 games or something, or is it more like 30 games? And then he's kind of okay. And if all of the other pieces could like mesh together, this team could be good. But for me, all those things have to happen to get to 49 wins.
Yep.
Like to get to like right where the line's at.
A successful year for this Warriors team is like 46 wins.
And I know there's an argument that they played at a better pace than this last year for most of the after Wiseman went out. But then you have Wiseman, you have Kuminga, and you have Moses Moody. Like, are they just not going to play those guys? It's thoroughly possible. I'm just so kind of confused by this team and perplexed, and I feel like they've underwhelmed for so long. Anyway, sorry, Chuck, what's your opinion?
I think they have the ability to maybe get another guy if trade away some pieces. They have some young, could be good players. And Andrew Wiggins' contract. So maybe they can get somebody who's disgruntled, Brad Beal, Dame Lillard, who knows? And then they're offensively through the roof. The team, as it's constructed, I could see in the playoffs doing some damage because Clay, Dre, and Steph are champions and have shown that they can do this well. So, but the regular season, I'm not so sure. Everything has to go right for them to hit 49 wins.
That's kind of how I feel.
And everything did go right for them as far as Steph Curry is concerned last year.
He was perfect last year. Yeah, he was perfect.
You can't play that well 2 years in a row.
What blows my mind is like Zach Lowe thinks this team has the potential to be a title contender.
Right.
And John Hollinger has said under 48.5 is free money. So
right.
like there's different opinions.
How many beers we talking? 3 beers?
I lean closer to Hollinger where I'm like, that number is so high. Like I assumed Vegas would set their total at like 46, 47. I was very surprised to see it all the way up at 48.5.
It's hard for me to get into like Draymond didn't try arguments and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
it's hard for me to I just don't see it. But let's move to an even more difficult to discuss team. I think that other team in LA. Talk to me about the Clippers, Keith. Give me a number.
So again, telling people they're one of my 5 through 8 teams, and I have them at 46 wins. I do have a good amount of confidence that this team is going to be pretty good. I think Ty Lue can form a really stout defense. I think Paul George can carry this team. And I'm a little bit worried that like an Eric Bledsoe will drink from the same chalice that Nick Batum drank from. And we'll be like, oh yeah, this guy's all right. And then they have other bodies where they can just be solid. It wouldn't surprise me if the bottom falls out of their season, I guess some people are thinking Kawhi could be coming back earlier than we thought, but all that mixed together, I'm just very, very confused about this team. And I've given them some credit for their pedigree of players and said, yeah, for that 46 number.
You're over and you're basic. It's 43.5 over 50.
Whoa, I'm way over.
Yeah, 52%. Agree with you. Chuck, what are your thoughts on the Clippers of Los Angeles?
When your best player isn't on the court, it's hard to get up every day when you know the potential of your team, and that best team isn't going to play that night. It can lead to some problems. I think Ty Lue did a good job last year managing personalities. I think they can, they got lucky with a Super Saiyan Reggie Jackson and Terrence Mann. I don't know if that's in the playoffs to push past Dallas. I don't think that's like going to be sustainable for the entirety of a season. But Paul George is really good. And this number is perfectly set because that's what Vegas does. But in my head, they're probably going to throw away a few more games than squeak out, and I'm going to go under.
Easy money over. I think this team will be deadly in the regular season. That roster is still really good without Kawhi. That number seems low to me. I think Clippers will be dangerous. I think Paul George is one of the best players in the league. I think Reggie Jackson is a legitimate player in this league. A healthy Reggie Jackson. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Yeah,
but I think they have young players who can step into the holes.
Yeah,
I really like the Clippers.
I mean, our boy Terrence Mann.
I think the Clippers will finish higher than the Golden State Warriors.
That's how I kind of feel.
I think this number is out of.
So this is the first number. So I've seen a couple of the numbers, but that was the first one that actually really surprised me. I hadn't seen that one. That's much lower than I would have anticipated. But also the public thinks that as well.
Let's get to another low number. Let's go to Sacktown.
Oh man, I took the over for Sacramento last year and it hit. I felt so good. It was like the first time it hit in a very long time. Kings, I am not feeling super optimistic about this season. I feel like the whole narrative for the Kings is like Davion Mitchell's going to change our locker room, which seems like a lot to ask. I think I have him at the same win total I've put him at like the last 3 years, 34 wins. So 34.
So that's the exact narrative they had last year with Tyrese Halliburton changing the locker room, I guess.
Tyrese Halliburton was good, and they won a couple more. But yeah,
you are under the number is 36.5. Chuck, where do you sit?
That's
on the Sacramento Kings.
I like that under.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty high. I'm thinking that's the team that's, probably going to have a coaching change, which may make me push the over. If they get rid of Luke Walton, maybe they get an extra few games from whoever comes in who isn't Luke Walton. But it looks like they want to pay him. De'Aaron Fox is really good, and Tyrese Halliburton is a solid, player. I'm going under, though, because they're the Kings, and the name on the jersey matters, and they are.
Are we talking about Buddy Hield's Kings?
Buddy Hield's Kings.
Yeah, I got under.
Yeah.
I'm under. So long as Buddy sits upon that bench.
I mean, I
think the Kings are terrible.
So I think one thing that's informative for me when I do these over-unders is you look at the whole league and you're adding up all your wins and you're like listing off your teams. Like, I think this team's better. I think this team's better. Like, there's over 20 teams better than the Kings, right? I think that's consensus. Easy. At least there's at least 20 teams better than the Kings. To say they're going to win 37 games implies there actually aren't. I think the Kings are better than the Rockets, the Thunder, the Pistons, the Magic, and the Cavaliers. And I think that's the only 5 teams I'm confident about. I think they could be better than the Spurs. They could be better than the Timberwolves. They could be better than some teams. But, I'm not confident. That number is high, it seems like, just based on how I think everyone views. I'm not going out on a limb here, just based on consensus.
It was to me the most shocking number of this entire exercise.
Okay.
I expected it to be I thought the Kings were going to have a Spursian win total, and they sit well above that, which makes me think I must be demonstrably wrong. But I just don't like what this team has done and is doing. And I think, to me, you see all these young players, they should be trending upwards, and I feel like they are actually trending downwards just because of the way their style is a disservice to the type of players they
I will say, I can talk myself into the Kings. If someone told me to do an optimistic write-up of the Kings, I could do it, because I do like De'Aaron Fox is extremely good. He's extremely good.
Right.
Buddy Hield could maybe find his role a little bit better. Maybe he buys in a little bit better. Harrison Barnes, solid veteran. Rashawn Holmes is a good front court guy. What if they get something from Marvin Bagley? What if Marvin Bagley turns in that?
The rest of that front court is so anemic.
But then Halliburton and Davion Mitchell, that rotation maybe could be really fantastic in the backcourt. And they have enough bodies who I think are competent, okay NBA dudes. Tristan Thompson is not terrible for a backup.
The Kings have a consortium of players that are fun to talk about that don't mesh well and are coached by nepotism incarnate. 37 wins seems insane to me.
I'll repeat myself.
I'm well under.
I love that under.
Yeah.
Who's the next team?
Let's take it to Southwestern Egg Roll Town. Dallas Mavericks. Keith, give me a number.
They're one of the teams, unsurprisingly, tied with every other team. I have them at 46 wins. That has to be an under.
It is indeed an under. The number is 48.5. Almost everyone's taking that over, 56%. Chuck, your thoughts on the Mavs?
I think maybe this is the year that Porzingis turns a really solid season front to end.
He's been healthy all offseason.
Yeah. If he looks good, then you've got Luka's second guy, and Luka's good enough that if he has a second solid contributor, that they're going to be, third or fourth in the West. And I think that puts me at an over here.
Yeah.
But that being said, Jason Kidd.
Yeah. You put me in the precarious situation of talking about Jason Kidd. I literally kicked it to Chuck, hoping he would take the Kidd burden off of me, because I do think while the leap downward, the plummet from Rick Carlisle to Jason Kidd is real, I think the Mavericks are too damn talented and are anchored by a player who's just too good at beating bad teams in Luka Doncic. This is a team, the Mavericks, that I really believe, had they not run into their own form of kryptonite, which is the Clippers, we'd have multiple, Western Conference Finals under their belt already. This is a really good team and an organization that while I strongly dislike it, I think makes pretty solid team building decisions and I'm going to go over.
I'm not, man. I can't go all the way to this organization, make solid team building maneuvers. Like they've gotten some great players, no question.
Yeah.
They've worked themselves into some awesome players. What they've done with them has been kind of a real rough stretch. Poor Carlisle. It's been a decade since he won a playoff series. Now he's out of there. Yeah. We give him a lot of credit. One thing arguing for the Mavericks, if the Mavericks do exceed this number, they played a lot of guys last year who kind of stinky, and like those guys are gone. Like they had, I saw this, that like Wes Iwundu, Nicola Melli, like James Johnson, Josh Richardson, JJ Redick, like some of those guys are out of the league right now. Most of those guys are out of the league, and they played some minutes for the Mavs last year. Right. Josh Richardson couldn't make a shot. They finally figured out we need to get him out of the starting lineup near the end of the year. Reggie Bullock comes in. You know, if they figure out what they have, if it's a reborn or a healthier Porzingis with like Brunson stepping up, Bullock stepping up, Luka continuing to get better.
If you want to have further pause, just looking at what they did in the preseason, they went from one of the most free form space and pace teams to taking like the least 3-pointers. Very strange decisions from a coaching standpoint.
That makes me like the
under
more.
Yeah. Like I said, I just don't see, and Keith criticized the fringes of the roster just then, with the exception of Josh Richardson, but I feel like the core, especially the starters, are historic lately.
They have,
like unbelievable. They found the pieces that fit. If Jason Kidd can undo all of that, I may have to stop calling this a players league and give more daps to the coaches.
Their number was 47.5. Is that right?
48.5.
48.5. All right. And you're over? And
I'm over.
All right. So 2/3 over. I'll be the lone under holdout for the Mavs. Who's next?
I think Chuck went under.
Yeah. I said Jason Kidd under.
Oh, I apologize.
But, wait, did I?
No, you did say over, and then you went but Jason Kidd. So that,
All right, good.
You guys okay?
For the record,
that's
2/3 over.
Yeah, that's a tough over. That's a vote for Luka and Co. for me. I hope they lose every game. Our squad, Keith. I got dressed up for this episode.
Oh, it's the Memphis Grizzlies time. Before we get there, I got to tell you to download the all-access, all-in-one Grizzlies mobile app, now featuring Grind City media news and notes on all things Grizzlies, NBA, and more. Get 3 experiences with one app, including a fresh Grizzlies look and feel, along with access to FedEx Forum events and those sweet Grind City media podcasts. This new app has it all. Upgrade your experience and download the Grizzlies app at the App Store and Google Play. Boys, I didn't know how much information to bring to this brief discussion on the Grizzlies win total. There are so many facts and figures about this team.
Better get it out of your system before I get going.
It's fine. Luckily, I've released 100 episodes of a Grizzlies podcast in the last 9 months where I spell it out. But
grits and grinds.
The long and short of it is,
haven't paid your way.
I'm very optimistic about this Grizzlies team. I think some of the basic data is they excised some players. I don't think we need that much. And I think we have all the pieces we need around them.
Talk to them.
And
preach.
I am optimistic on this Grizzlies team. I did, however, temper my optimism. I actually have them as my 9th team in the West. And I don't actually think they're going to finish 9th. But I think one of these other teams where I kind of
stuck. So why'd you do it?
One of these teams, Clippers, Mavericks, Trailblazers, Warriors, that I couldn't make up my mind and just said 45, 46 wins for all of you. One or more of those teams is going to fall on their face and just be bad. I feel pretty confident one of those teams is going to end up in the lottery. But I put my Grizzlies win total number at 43.
You're over. The number is 41.5. Public's pretty much totally doesn't know what to do with this number. Chuck, before Keith and I reach climax, you might want to get in here quickly before it gets messy.
I know. Look, I hear a lot of good Grizz talk from my 2 partners here who love the Grizz, who cover the Grizz, who bleed the Grizz. John can't go an episode without disparaging Jonas Valanciunas or Grayson Allen. And maybe for 4 years, that may continue 4 years. Those 2 guys are gone. So I'm going to say that they're better. And if they're better, they're probably I could see honestly pulling away from, my, fandom that I've acquired through you guys, I could see them being a 6 or 7 seed.
Yeah.
I could see it. And
Mommy, talk dirty to me.
Ja takes a leap. Ja becomes an all-star. Jaren plays like he's been playing in the preseason. They actually put DeAnthony Melton on the floor, and you got yourself a solid NBA.
I mean,
team. Good on defense.
If you tell me that DeAnthony Melton's playing 28 minutes per game, I will.
He's not.
They will be so good. John, you're optimistic. This is your entire hypothesis, put to test.
The Grizzlies have actually done what I've clamored for them to do.
Yeah.
So if I don't believe in this over, what the hell have I been saying for the past year?
You have been the person.
This is the easiest over of all the overs we've done. The Grizzlies will easily win 42 games. The Grizzlies are going to beat bad teams out the gym and surprise teams that aren't ready to run and gun with them. This is a hard team to score on and a hard team to stop from scoring now that you don't have the lane getting clogged up. And balls being thrown to white black holes. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
You were the guy. You were the prophet wandering the wilderness.
Yes.
Grizzlies fans are like, Jonas Valanciunas is averaging 28 points and 20 rebounds, and you're just screaming, he's terrible.
Terrible. Held us back. Held us down. Millstone around our neck. We are free now to run wild.
Over the last 2 seasons, when Ja and Dylan and DeAnthony Melton play together, the Grizzlies are plus 17 points per 100 possessions.
That lineup plus Jaren Jackson and Brandon Clark is unstoppable.
Over the last 2 seasons, when Kyle Anderson plays with Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson Jr., they're plus 22 points per 100 possessions. These are all the things that we've freed up. Last season, Ja and Melton, when it wasn't with Jonas Valanciunas, they were plus 19 per 100 possessions.
There is nothing I have enjoyed more this offseason than figuring out precisely which pundits understand or even watch the Grizzlies by them being worried about Jaren Jackson Jr. based on last year's stats. That means you are completely unaware of what is going on and what has happened over the past 2 years, because Jaren Jackson's return is a transformational one for the Grizzlies.
I think this team is going to struggle horribly against the best teams, which guess what?
Yeah,
literally everyone does. Everyone does who's not the best teams. They're going to struggle in the half court. But what you said, I think they're going to mash up the bad teams because they're 10 deep. If they can win
40% of the games against above 500 teams, that's over 42 wins.
Here's the thing that gives me pause. Their record last year, 38-34 in the regular season, it was fraudulent.
Absolutely.
It included 10 wins over teams with winning records that weren't playing their best players.
Much like the transformation of the Grizzlies roster, I think you have to look beyond I think looking at the numbers will be confusing because there have to be wins just like there had to be points for Jonas to score. This is a stylistic move that I just think you're going to see a very different Grizzlies team that I think the defense was already there. I think the defense will be improved. I really I don't understand the narrative of I know Jaren fouls a lot, but I think being allowed to play this Milwaukee Bucks style free safety position that we've already seen implemented, I think Jaren actually will be a big impact defensive player and he's a bit like Lonzo Ball in that he's an excellent team defender already. He's not that great one-on-one, but we're not going to ask him to do that anymore. And then furthermore, third-year point guard leaps are real.
Yes.
Ja Morant is in his 3rd year. Ja Morant, I think, is starting to understand that the intensity that he brings to playoff games, he's going to have to bring to all of the games. And I think the lack of Jonas Valanciunas as a go-to scorer, the onus is now on Ja to get to the line, to be more active on offense. I would be stunned if the Grizzlies, barring injury, did not surpass.
If the Grizzlies top 8 in minutes, and we'll stop here, I guess, and move on.
I'm almost finished.
If the Grizzlies top 8 in minutes are Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, Steven Adams, DeAnthony Melton, Desmond Bane. Did I say enough? Was that 8? Those were their best players in the last several years. Obviously, we've added Steven Adams. And Brandon Clark, Tillman. just having those guys play all the minutes, they're going to be good. They're going to be better than they were last year. So I feel pretty confident this team is going to mess up some people, and I do like that number. Let's wrap this up. How many more teams we got?
To the other side of the riverboat gamble. What you got to tell me, Keith? What is it? The riverboat?
Oh, reckoning? The riverboat captain's belt for pride and glory and dominion of the Mississippi.
Absolutely. Let's go to New Orleans.
My numbers were basically done before any recent news of Zion Williamson. I guess I'm not going to move them. I have the Pelicans at 36 wins. I don't believe in the Pelicans. 36.
Okay. You are as slightly.
I'm taking under no matter what.
Yeah, you are the slightest. It's 36 and a half.
Okay.
Which to me is very telling. Also, it is getting. I'm so sorry, Keith. I was looking at the wrong number. You're well under. It's 39 and a half.
Oh,
which has been pounded by 64.6% of bettors.
Taking the under.
I'm going to do it again. I'm going to argue against my point. I do think it should be said that Stewie Griffin is managing for his life here, and they're going to do whatever they can to win right now.
How is that different than the last 2 years?
Exactly. It's not going to be enough. And I don't care how much Zion plays, it's not going to be enough. I think this is an easy under. This is a team in disarray, and I feel bad for Pelicans fans.
Yeah, once again, I'm agreeing with John. I think the Pelicans are just a mess. And no matter how good Zion is, there's still it was so weird to lose Lonzo and replace him with somebody who isn't as good. Devontae Graham's a different player than Lonzo.
They're talking themselves into Devontae Graham, and then they saw him in preseason and like, oh.
Yeah. Or,
What's funny, can I go back to Jonas for just a bit?
Yeah.
Sure.
People are still the same argument's going to continue to be made for Jonas Valanciunas being an absolute stud, because he's going to eat in New Orleans.
He's going to score so many points.
If Zion, even if Zion does play, Zion doesn't rebound. Jonas is still going to get the ball with his back to the basket and hold said ball and get his putbacks. It's going to look brilliant. People are going to be like, I can't believe they gave up Jonas Valanciunas for Steven Adams.
Yeah.
But you're going to see in the column that matters the most, the win column, precisely what we've been talking about for the past year.
Yeah.
I can't do my Grizzly spiel and then not do an anti-Pelican spiel. I just can't.
All right. So we're unanimous under, we got one more team left, right?
Two more.
Let's do them.
San Antonio. Keith, what's your number?
Oh, San Antonio Spurs. I like their collection of talent. God help me. I put them at 34 wins.
You are way over. 29.5 is the number.
Whoa.
29.5 is the number, which to me makes, I feel like that's like a tanking number. I don't really understand. I'm also way over on the Spurs. They got rid of the only guy who couldn't play defense on the whole team.
Here's the thing. I know somebody. Let's call him Neith Darish. I know this guy named Neith Darish who caught a glimpse of that Spurs line.
Yeah.
Earlier in the summer.
Pounded it.
Couldn't believe it. Pounded it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think it's one of the easiest.
Way over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think you can have a team with that many good defenders. Thad Young seems like he was built in a laboratory to play for Greg Popovich.
Swapping Rudy Gay for Thad Young is insanely awesome.
Thad Young is awesome.
Yeah.
He's the best player on the Bulls.
And all those other guys are cool on their team.
Yeah.
Like all those young guys are cool.
They're young. They're coming up and they can shut teams down. Perlix is a great rim protector, and they've got good guard play on defense. And during a regular season, that matters. And I'm going over. Greg Popovich ain't losing. He's not.
I don't think he's taken out.
I'm glad we're unanimous on this one. I also want to say I can't wait to see the DeRozan-less Spurs. I'm excited about the Spurs post DeRozan. I think we'll see a return to Spurs basketball that's fun. Let's go to Planet Houston.
Houston. I think Houston is going to be spectacularly terrible.
Yes.
I'm nervous. I kind of ran out of wins. So I have them at 22, which I assume is a solid under.
Yes, that's a hard under. 26 and a half is the biggest number. Chuck, we're sitting.
Oh, that makes me more comfortable. 26 and a half. This is not like a magic thing where I have to get under 22 and a half. No, I feel good about getting under 26 and a half. Yeah, no, I like that under.
Somebody's got to be bad. This is a young team that will be bad, and they're probably going to be tanking after Christmas. So I'm taking the under.
Terrible team.
So bad. So bad.
Might be fun to watch.
Yeah, Jay Sean Tate's fun. Kevin Porter Jr. is fun. They're gonna have young gunners.
Kevin Porter Jr. is gonna put up some iShop score numbers.
The most heavily. Oh yes, my number 2 pick in the iShop draft. The most heavily bet under of them all. We are basic, but I think in this case we are right. Like this could be a 18, 19 win team easily, and I think that's kind of where they want to be. So.
I mean, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard for the Pistons and the Thunder and the Rockets to all lose 60 games. Like you don't normally have 3 teams lose over 60 games. But let's say 2/3 of them can, and that keeps our percentages going good. So we wrapped that up kind of in lockstep. We were very unanimous on the Southwest Division. To wrap up the whole thing, we unanimous over on the Jazz, 2/3 under on the Nuggets, 2/3 over on the Blazers, unanimous over on the Timberwolves. We were also unanimous under on the Thunder, 2/3 over on the Lakers, unanimous over on the Suns, unanimous under on the Warriors. Maybe we did too many unanimous picks, fellas. 2/3 over on the Clippers, unanimous under on the Kings, 2/3 over on the Mavericks, unanimous over Grizzlies, unanimous under Pelicans, unanimous over Spurs, unanimous under on the Rockets. That's a lot of agreement.
It's just the way the players move now leads to you having stances on teams.
Yeah.
It leads to you either believing or disbelieving in their moves. There are not a ton of this team is exactly the same. Like everyone, there's just a lot of transition going on in the league. And it leads to you just a lot of sweeping declarations.
Yeah. Well, let's move to the awards segment of the program before we get out of here. The International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award. It is given each week to the worst performance in a box score. This week's award will be covering the entire preseason, all games played in the preseason. We have 3 nominees. Chuck's Tyler Hero of the Miami Heat was 3 for 15 with 7 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 turnover, 3 personal fouls.
How many sneers?
Zaire Williams, the number 10 pick of the Memphis Grizzlies, was 2 for 13. 6 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. That's nice. 1 turnover, 2 personal fouls. And then one of those Pelicans guards that they hope is going to be good, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They're not sure who's going to be good. Maybe one of them will be good. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was 3 for 15, 7 points, 3 boards, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 2 personal fouls. So our 3 nominees. Zaire Williams was 2 for 13, 6 points, 3 steals. Tyler Hero, 3 for 15. 7 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 3 for 15, 7 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Gents, they're very similar lines.
I think it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
I mean, at least Tyler Hero got a steal. Their lines are virtually the same. Zaire Williams is a worse shooting performance, the 2 for 13, but he picked up 3 steals. It's tough. I'll lean with you.
I wrote him down as you said it because it's been helping me.
Yeah.
And it was just like looking into the abyss. I don't see a difference.
They're all the same. So we should probably give it to Tyler Hero.
I didn't even pay attention to his line because there's no way I'm going to vote for him.
No.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker's my go.
Oh, right. No, I screwed it up, Keith. I'm sorry.
It's fine. All right. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, congratulations on winning the preseason International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, gentlemen. Par fadeaway. What things are we looking forward to?
We talked about it earlier in the episode, but boy, we're doing that pickle.
Oh, the pickle's coming.
I'm not historically
pay the pickle man,
the person who fills out pickle every day. But if we did the math, I'm pretty sure I'm up there in the top 3 of the podcast members in winning percentage.
You're certainly in the competition.
Certainly in the top 3. So what I would suggest you do, if you haven't joined our Patreon yet, it may only be a cup of coffee for you, but it all adds up on our end, and it shows that we need to be continuing to do this, because the only reason we still do this now is because we have people paying us.
Thank you, Grizzlies and Patreon supporters.
Is it my turn? May I?
Yeah.
Yes.
I wish I had thought of this, but aforementioned Patreon supporters have come in clutch. Gerald Green for Prez said this in our Slack chat, and it is beautiful. He has pointed out, he made a list. If you're looking for storylines, if you're looking for something to watch in the NBA, here are all the revenge games this season. Write this down. Starting on October 20th, we have Brooklyn versus Milwaukee and Denver versus Phoenix. Then on October 30th.
What does he define as a revenge game?
Oh, just where players have switched teams, coaches have switched teams.
A lot of, okay.
If you're looking for the intrinsic storylines, we've got October 30th, Sixers versus Hawks. November 14th, Hawks versus Bucks. We've got November 14th, Portland versus Denver. We've got November 21st, we've got Dallas versus the Clippers. November 22nd, we've got Memphis and Utah. We've got the 24th, we've got Boston and Brooklyn. The Knicks and Hawks on the 27th. The Bucks and Heat on the 4th. The Clippers and Suns on the 13th. The Jazz and Clippers on the 15th. The Wizards and Sixers on the 26th. And the Suns and Bucks on the 10th. Damn.
A lot of those are some, I guess, playoff rematches too. It's going to be
absolutely. I think that's actually what they are. I think I misstated it. I wasn't ready to answer questions.
It's fine. I mean, I didn't know what his revenge scale was. Maybe I thought maybe these are just people who personally wronged him.
Sure,
could be.
No way to
know. Gavin, shout out Gavin. He's one of our listeners. Good guy, but he is a vengeful human.
Gerald Green for Prez is also a beautiful moniker.
Yes.
The thing I'm looking forward to is there are a few guys in the NBA who've played a lot of games and never made a three-pointer. This was pointed out by Owen Phillips, who writes a nice little newsletter. And Owen Phillips is going to appear on Fast Break Breakfast on Thursday and maybe be a little recurring guest with his interesting facts and charts he creates. But he wanted to know which of these players will hit their first career three-pointer this season. Our boy, Ed Davis, never made a three.
Hands of stone.
Still going strong. One second. So I'm looking to set that up on Slack, and it's not. There it is. So our guy Ed Davis has played 691 games in the NBA, never made a three-pointer. Next is Rudy Gobert, 545. Clint Capella, 397. Mitchell Robinson, 158. Robert Williams III, 113. Those guys are the 5 guys who played the most games without making a three-pointer. And then after that, it's people who only played for a couple years. It just shows you how the league's gone. Daniel Gafford, Precious Achiuwa, Moses Brown, Onyeka Okongwu, and Paul Reed. Those are the 10 most games played without making a three-pointer in the NBA.
Daniel Gafford
it's
just
wild.
signed a 3-year, $40 million contract extension.
It's wild that guys who were rookies last year are already in the top 10 list of guys who most games played never making three-pointer because you just make three-pointers now. But he wants to know which one of those guys is going to make it first. I think Precious Achiuwa was going to make one in the first week of the season. I feel pretty confident about that. He's going to put some up for the Raptors, but I'm going to be monitoring which one of those guys makes it. I think, would Capella let one fly? I know Ed Davis isn't shooting one. Ed Davis is like, he had some awesome quote. He's in Cleveland. He's like, listen, I know I'm not here to compete for playing time. It's like amazing.
Special land, baby.
That man knows his spot. But anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to. And also with Owen's contributions on the show, it's going to be really cool. Anyway, if you want to support our program, Go to patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. You can follow us on Twitter at fastbreakbreak. Happy NBA season, everybody. Hope you enjoy it. We'll be back for you later in the week. You guys have a good one. Thanks for listening. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Oh,